Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. As someone who's had them protect his house, let me tell you what I like most about these guys: customer service. They came out to spray for some flying bugs I get every fall last year. I called them to say that I still saw a few after they'd been out there. They came right back out, no charge, just did it, doubled up, and no more flying bugs trying to enter my house. Southeast Termite and Pest Control, locally owned, family owned, 45 years in the business, actually 46. Hard to go wrong with all those stats. Southeast Termite and Pest Control. All right. First question is, why do we call it fall camp when clearly it's August? It's not fall camp at all. But Tennessee about to get going with their, or they are getting going with their practice for the preseason. Here's my question. What is the most important goal for Tennessee this preseason? Is it, 1, stay healthy? Is it 2, find a starting quarterback before the Georgia Tech game? Is it 3, something else? What do you think?
I'll start. Last year at this same time, you said they need to stay healthy. I don't like their depth. And I'm like, nobody gets hurt that much. Then after last season, they got hurt that much. So this year, I'm going to say stay healthy. I think either one of the quarterbacks, whoever they settle on, will be, what they are. I don't think anybody so far has seen a huge difference in them. This team has to go into Georgia Tech as healthy as they can be.
Okay, maintain their health.
I'm going to say they need to establish their offensive identity. They need to figure out who they are, and to do that, they need to find out who their playmakers are. If you're going to play double tight end, then Ethan Wolf can't drop half the passes thrown to him, and Jakob Johnson has to emerge as a legitimate threat or a very good blocker. Who are these young freshman receivers? Do they warrant going 3 and 4 wide? Exactly what type of personality does Larry Scott want to have with his football team?
And I think that Juwan Jennings certainly has the talent to go from the number 2 receiver to a number 1 receiver.
Absolutely.
But the question is, who's the number 2 receiver? Who's ready to fill in that role that he filled in so well last year? Mike Strange, what do you think is the most important challenge for this team going into the season?
The defense has to pick itself up off the mat from last year, especially the secondary, and just give Bob Shoop and Butch Jones and the coaches some confidence that this defense is going to be not just a little better, but considerably better.
That's a good. I want to hit on that in a second. Chuck, what's your point?
I'm going to stay this early with stay healthy because of what Bob said. I agree 100%. It's what happened last year. And you don't want to go into this like, here we go again. You want to go into this like all hands on deck, and we got something to prove against Georgia Tech.
And I think that ties into a little bit of what Mike was talking about that I wanted to bring up, and that is from a mental standpoint. If this defense goes out there and starts getting burned deep, even in practice, at what point are they saying, uh-oh, here we go again? If you start having guys go down with an ankle injury, a knee, a shoulder, at what point do they say, uh-oh, here we go again? Not only do you need to find an identity for the offense, I think you need to find out what the mental makeup, and you hear all the right things. Bob Shoop's talked again and again about this team's got a chip on its shoulder, et cetera, et cetera. That all sounds good, and most coaches say that about most teams. But I think you got to figure out what is this team's mental makeup. When bad things happen, are they going to remember what happened last year, or are they going to shake it off and move forward? And I don't know. I don't know yet. And the coaches probably don't know yet. I know what they'd like to see.
And that's the kind of thing you really can't find out, I don't think, in practice. I mean, you got to be in a game. I think you can shake things off easier in practice. I mean, you got to get into a game. And if you go into the first game and you've already got 2 or 3 guys hurt, I think it would be very hard for them to shake that off.
If you had to vote for something somebody else said here, what would it be?
I'll go with Mike's. And trying to find out what an offensive identity. You got to find a quarterback. You've got a new offensive coordinator. A lot of things are going to be different. So I'm going to go with Mike and say you got to figure out what you want to be.
And I would do the stay healthy thing. We heard Bob Shoop say how important it was to have a healthy Darren Kirkland Jr. I mean, he's the quarterback of the defense from that Mike position. We know in the secondary they had their issues last year. They had 2 guys playing with sprained ankles against Vanderbilt. Certainly well documented what happened at defensive tackle. So I think you want to see Shai Tuttle get healthy. You want to see Khalil McKenzie pan out. And you have Kendall Vickers coming off his shoulder as well as Kyle Phillips.
The interesting thing about finding a personality, both from a leadership standpoint, but also from your offensive identity, you're going to be splitting reps with your quarterbacks, and they could, 2 different styles of guys. Not night and day, but one guy is more of an athletic runner than the other one. So it's not going to be the same number 1 time after time. That may stunt the growth just a little bit in terms of getting everybody on the same page because, okay, change it, and now the different guys in.
Yes.
Now, from what they say, Dormady has clearly been the one that's the most consistent. If that carries on, I think that helps
Pick
you
a
out.
quarterback and play him.
All right, very good. When we come back, who drafted the best team? I'm going to let these guys weigh in. Then I'm going to tell you which of these guys picked the best 25-year all-vol squad. And then we got a surprise for you a little bit later in the show. Come on back.